Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is the Total Movie Recall live stream, episode 10. Double figures, Paul. Woo!
Oh, yeah. It's how long we've been going. I was going to say, is it 10 weeks, but it's not because we do it every fortnight.
yeah. Not 10 weeks, not just yet, but we've been going all this year, so we've done pretty well. 4 months into it, entering into May pretty soon. Yeah, man. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
It's gonna be May.
Yeah, man. But yeah, guys, we are starting a little bit early tonight. We've got shit to do, man. So we're cracking straight on with it. We haven't got the kids here tonight. Andy and Badger aren't here tonight, unfortunately, but they'll be back soon. Paul, how are you, my friend? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. A lot of good news to talk about this week. I can't wait to talk to you about Deadpool because we haven't really talked about it, have we, since that trailer dropped?
No, we haven't at all.
I haven't really spoke to anyone about it, to be fair. So looking forward to diving into that. Spoilers for what's coming up on the stream. It's on the thumbnail anyway. But yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to talking some movies as usual.
Cool, mate. Well, we've got plenty of news stories to get into, so we'll sort of crack straight on with it. We have got our Zack Snyder tier list. We're not going to do a mega deep dive on our good old mate Zack. Of course, with Rebel Moon Part 2 coming out, I decided this was the right time to do that.
Yeah.
We'll get on to my thoughts about that one later. But anyway, Paul, we'll get straight into it.
Yeah, man.
First little story of the night. We've had a few teasers for this new movie called Longlegs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've seen snippets of it throughout the year, but nothing too heavy. The teasers that have come out have been super cryptic for this film. I applaud everyone to go and watch it. If you're a horror fan, anything like that, this is coming from Neon, the production company that was made one of my favorite films of last year, Infinity Pool. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to put this on people's radar because I don't think people are talking about it too much. But Paul, I showed you this little teaser earlier on. What are your just like general thoughts about this? I know there's not a lot to show in the trailer. There's not a lot to go off, but I actually think that's a good thing. It makes the trailer better, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, just your first thoughts on this little teaser that I showed you.
Oh, yeah, 100% there, right there. If less is better for me with a trailer, especially a horror movie.
Yeah.
Neon putting out some great horror stuff at the moment. Infinity Pool, like you said, was one of my favorite horrors of last year. I don't think I liked it as much as you, but I really did enjoy it. And I'm all for these sort of really weird imagery sort of horror movies, elevated horror, as they call it in Scream.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is what it is. It's sort of like really get in your head sort of horror movies. It's not like fun slasher stuff like blood and gore. It's like really psychedelic sort of horror movies. This looks right up that street. I mean, Nicolas Cage being in it, is that a spoiler? He's not in the trailer, but they advertise him. He's in it.
Yeah, for sure. He's on the marketing for it, so like it's starring the lead actress, then him as well.
Nicolas Cage, man, he can switch genres like no one's business, man. But I'll watch anything he's in.
There's also with Nicolas Cage though, there's also that question mark, isn't there? Because like, don't get me wrong, he's done a lot of good work in prior years recently, but we did have that stretch where he's paying the bills, sort of type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. This looks like a film he'd really sink his teeth into, though. It's not like one of them 90-minute Lionsgate, I need a few grand to pay the bills sort of movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looks like an intriguing movie. Like you said, we don't know what it's about. The trailer's eerie as hell, the sound design. I couldn't even speculate what it's about. If I had to take a wild guess, it's about someone being kidnapped and he's sort of maybe like
I'll tell you what,
kidnapper.
Paul,
I don't know.
I'll give you a little plot summary here. FBI agent Lee Harker is assigned to an unsolved serial killer case that takes an unexpected turn, revealing evidence of a cult. Harker discovers a personal connection to the killer. So we are going for sort of serial killer vibes here, which
Yeah.
personally, so like as far as horror goes, I do love horror, but I'm not in that camp of like slashes aren't my sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So like the Halloween Screaming that. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy them. Found a new fascination with Scream last year. To be fair, like because I'd never seen the full franchise. But going off topic there, my thing when it comes to horror is serial killer stuff. So obviously I've waxed on about True Detective season 1, and that sort of blurs the line between that horror serial killer vibe.
Yeah.
This trailer almost gives me the same vibe as them Netflix documentaries that we've seen a billion times, but in a sort of a film aspect to it. But yeah, this is from Oz Perkins, who is the son of Anthony Perkins, who played Norman Bates in Psycho. So there's some horror pedigree there, definitely. I just wanted to put this on people's radars. I didn't want to spend too long on it. It's just the trailers and teasers, like you can tell Neon have got a lot of faith in the film, the way they are marketing the film, because they're not giving you any sort of breadcrumbs to what's going on here. Just a lot of, like you say, psychedelic imagery and stuff like that. And the fact that Nick Cage is in it gets 2 thumbs up from me. I'll be there for this one.
Yeah, it seems like a movie that was probably shown to like film festivals like a few months ago. We won't get it for a few months later. It seems like one of them films. Probably why it's not on a lot of people's radars yet. I think once it gets a sort of theatrical release, we might get a bit more marketing to it. But it looks like one of them films where in the trailer it'll come up like Cannes Film Selective, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
totally. But we haven't got a release date for this. The US have got a release date. It comes out on the 12th of July, I think it is. But no UK release date for it yet, which is a bit disappointing. But
we'll probably get it Christmas.
Yeah, you're right, man. Right. Okay, mate. Next story we've got here. This one is quite an exciting one. So Radio Silence are having a great time at the moment. If I'm not mistaken, Paul, are they involved in the new Abigail film that's out at the moment?
Radio Silence, yeah, I think they're the directors, weren't they?
Oh, are they the directors of Abigail? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you recently just watched Abigail. What? Just mega quick thoughts on Abigail, mate. What were you saying about that one? I haven't seen it myself yet.
Tons of fun. I haven't seen a decent vampire film in a long time. It had that Radio Silence stamp on it. So if you like Ready or Not, their sort of foray into horror, then they did the Scream reboot. So it's that blend of horror comedy. It's all in there with this. Blood galore. Lots of fun. Dan Stevens was on fire in it in terms of acting and comedy. His comedy chops in this was incredible. And it wasn't like daft comedy. It was sort of it was just good timing. There was just a lot of good comedic timing in the movie. I love it. It's probably entered like my top 10 vampire films of all time. I've seen
that. That's a statement.
I said to my friend who went to watch it, I said I need to think on it, but I generally think, and I'm not here saying I've seen every vampire film ever made, but my favorite sort of vampire films are the more fun ones like Lost Boys and Dusk Till Dawn, rather than like the gothic ones like Bram Stoker's Dracula and stuff like that. I like the fun modern ones. And the more I thought on it, I thought I can't wait to see it again. And when I was going through like my favorite vampire films, I was like, it's in there. It's in my top 10.
Well, mate, you've got me hyped.
Loved it.
Definitely.
Really loved it.
I think I'm going to go tomorrow night after work. That'll be my Friday night treat. But yeah, if we are fans of Ready or Not, well, good news, because apparently there is a sequel in the works. So the only thing about this story is that the film hasn't been officially greenlit yet. But they say the script is written and it's an absolute effing banger. So we'll just have a quick read of this. The collaborators and producing partner, Chad Villela, aka Radio Silence, has told Entertainment Weekly in an interview out Monday they have been working on Ready or Not 2 since the original came out in 2019. Sounds like they've got an effing banger on their hands. It's getting figured out. It has yet to be greenlit. That's what we'll say. Ready or Not is getting figured out. What we can say is that there is a script and it's an absolute effing banger. And however it gets made and whatever capacity we are helping it get made, we are so excited that it's happening. That movie is truly the love of our creative lives in a lot of ways. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Paul, was this Ready or Not their first like foray into the directing world of horror? I'm not quite sure.
Don't quote me on it. I don't know for a fact. I feel like it was the first, if feature length, like big production one. If I don't know if they've done any sort of like, I don't know, like straight to video ones or anything like that. It was the first time I sort of heard about them. The team of, oh my God, my mind's just gone back. Radio Silence.
Yeah,
I was thinking, I kept thinking Ready or Not. Yeah, it's the first time it's the first time I'd heard of Radio Silence after this film, and then obviously they went on to do the Scream 5 or Scream reboot, whatever you want to call it, which really elevated them. And then up into the, especially with the horror community.
Well, just with it being a known IP, like that was the sort of thing that was going to send them in the stratosphere. But Ready or Not was, I have to admit, like initially before the film came out, the original, like I wasn't paying much attention to it. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't go and see this one in the cinema. This was just sort of, I just ended up watching it one night, like, and my God, mate, so good. Like it puts Samantha Weaving on the map, who's like awesome. You know, like it just felt highly original as well. And the ending, fucking hell, man, the ending's so good of that film. But I'm really excited for Ready or Not 2. I hope it gets greenlit. I think there's no way it's not getting greenlit, especially after the reviews for Abigail that have just come out. Like across the board, everyone seems to be really enjoying that film. So this can only be good things. I just hope it gets officially greenlit. And I wonder if Samantha Weaving will be coming back, do you think, for this one?
Samara Weaving.
Samara, sorry. I'm hellish at getting names wrong on here, man.
That's right. I hope she comes back. I will watch anything that woman's in at the moment. She's up there with Margot Robbie for me. I will literally watch anything she's in.
Yeah.
I don't care what genre it is or anything. I really enjoyed the first Ready or Not. Like you, I did not go to the cinema to watch it. It wasn't until it came, I think it might have been on Sky or it might hit Netflix or something, but I think I just missed it. It might have had a short theatrical window, and it was, I just missed it at the cinema. But I remember everyone going on about it, saying it was amazing, and I agreed. I loved it. It was original, fresh. Again, that sort of horror comedy that I love, where it's a good amalgamation. It's not one or the other. It's right blended so well. Where it is violent, it's gory, but you're laughing along with it because it's just so over the top. I'd happily see a second one.
It's
my only. Sorry, I was going to say my only concern why it might not happen is because as much as Abigail is having amazing praise, review wise, it isn't making an awful lot of money, which is a damn shame. It's just people aren't going to see it, man. I don't know why, but this might tamper that a bit. I mean, they're off Scream now because of the big controversy with it all. So they're not doing Scream 7, 6, 7. Yeah, they're not doing Scream 7 either. So I'm not sure. This could be if they're going to go and do another film, why not do this to get them sort of, back on the map? But in terms of money wise, but for some reason, as much as Abigail's getting praised, it's not really making much money. So I don't know how much that might damage this. I don't know.
I think this is more of an appealing idea than the likes of Abigail, though, because that is, from as far as I can tell, an original IP, Abigail. Whereas this now, this is not. It's almost turning into a little bit of a cult classic. Like everyone who watches it pretty much simultaneously loves this film, and now Samara Weaving is more of a name. People know her more now these days than what they did when the original come out. So look, I think this is a good move. I just hope it gets green lit. We've got Scottish Geek Guy in the chat. Howdy. How's it going, mate?
How's it going, man?
He said, Ready or Not was a hidden wee gem. Certainly was. Yeah, Samara. Get it?
I do wonder, once Abigail hits streaming, will everyone be like, poof, that's when everyone watches it?
Definitely. And not to take anything away from the genre, I just think it's a vampire horror film. Do you know what I mean? I just don't see them having as much appeal as what they did back in the day. So not that people probably won't want to see it, just it's definitely one of them films where I think, I can definitely wait until that
Yeah.
hits streaming or whatever,
Mhm.
which is fine. It's where people are these days. But yeah, looking forward to that one, man. Right. Speaking of vampires, little update on Blade. So we did speak about Blade a few weeks ago. We reported, well, we didn't report, but we spoke about the news story that it was actually going to be set in the past.
Mhm.
Now, forget about that. Chuck it out the window. We're not doing that anymore.
We've
now
got another script.
Yeah, we've got script 42, and this one's going to work. So yeah, not loads to go off here. But it seems like they've got their shit together.
Oh, God, I hope so.
Blade killing vampires. Marvel is giving fans what they exactly want with Mahershala Ali's MCU movie. Industry Insider has an exciting update. So, yeah, so this is actually now going to be shooting this summer in Mexico, which is exciting. It's Jeff Snyder at the Hot Mic, I think it is, who reported this. But yeah, they've stripped down the script, and it's just going to be basically Ali killing vampires, which is what we wanted.
That's what we want.
Yeah, that's all we wanted. The thing is, though, Paul, this with reports coming out of this film, it sounded like this was fucking going do-lally with the script and stuff like that. Like, reports were coming out that like Blade wasn't even centerpiece of this movie. Now, I'm sure he was going to be, but for a first MCU outing Blade, I don't want to see Logan first, if you know what I mean by that. I want to see him in his prime, killing vampires, not at the end of his days where he's rekindling a connection with a long lost daughter. That sounded absolutely terrible to me. But yeah, it's going to be shooting this year, this summer, hopefully, fingers crossed. I haven't heard of the director before. He seems a bit of a no-name. True Detective Nick Pizzolatto was actually hired to write the script at one point, but they ended up chucking his out, and they hired the Logan writer to come in and be the new screenwriter. So obviously Logan, absolute banger, mate. Flawless film. Writing's epic in that film. If there was someone who was going to take the reins over for this film with his track record, that's cool with me. But Paul, Blade is now set in present day and shooting this summer in Mexico. Is this film actually going to come out?
Oh my God, it's so annoying. But I love that they said, though, we've stripped it back and it's now going to be about Blade killing vampires. That's all we want.
Yeah,
that's all we've been asking for. Of course, that's what it's about. That's what the character is. How this film's not been made yet, I don't know. It seems like one of the hardest films to get made, and I don't know why. It's there. It's a vampire hunter, half man, half vampire, killing vampires, throwing a little vampire plot there for a villain, and you're good to go. Just give us some cool action scenes, some cool vampire lore. Give Ali some cool one-liners, man. We've got it. It's there. I don't understand why it's taking so long. I really don't. How many scripts you need to go through? Surely it's one of the easier Marvel comic characters to write, because there's not much depth to it. Now, I'm not saying that there can't be, and they could be trying to make a bit more of a depth to the character with the writing. But I don't know. They just need to get it going. Out of all the Marvel characters, they have sort of left that they haven't tapped into yet, bar Fantastic Four and X-Men, which we are getting. you need Blade. Like Blade for me is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I just want to see what a new version of the character will be like.
Yeah. I think what it is as well is that the reason why it should be so easy is because we're not dealing with an Iron Man, a Batman, a Captain America, all these superheroes that have got all this extensive lore and characters that we're familiar with. Blade, as far as the comics go, I don't care what you say, people haven't got like a massive connection as far as Blade.
No.
Comics wise, he's never been a big deal where the comics are concerned. It's only been a recent thing that they've started making him a big deal. And, you know, like the way he looks in recent comics at the moment as well, they take it from Wesley Snipes' Blade. Oh, yeah. Like, because the way Wesley Snipes looked in Blade is not how Blade looked in the comics prior to that film. He's been the main sort of like, this is the sort of vibe and look we're going to take for Blade now. And they're doing it now still. So that's how like prolific and, you know, that movie was. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. So it's like,
Same.
I will continue following this story and we'll give you updates as we're going along with it. I'm just fingers crossed it actually does end up shooting this summer. And the other bonus with this as well, I think they've kept Mia Goth in the script. So she's still main antagonist of this film, playing Lilith, I think it is, but don't know much about her. But yeah, hopefully this one does get made, because I'm looking forward to it. And Mahershala Ali, you know, one of my main things with a Blade film was because I love Wesley Snipes that much and he means a lot to me in that role, I was always going to turn my nose up at anyone who was going to be in that role. When they announced Mahershala Ali and after True Detective season 3, I was just like, yeah, that'll do, mate.
It was me seeing him in Elite Battle Angel, where I was like, there's Blade. There is him in that film.
Because literally, like all the thumbnails and stuff that you see online and on YouTube and stuff like that, they all take him from Elite Battle Angel because he's got that get up on, man.
Yeah, he's got the black, the shades. I'm like, there he is. There's Blade.
It's all there.
He's in a different film, but there he is.
There he is. Yeah. Right. Next story. Right. This one came out of nowhere. This one's came out on right. So yeah, this one's quite an old one. But I had no idea about this film. I had no idea about the star, director. But what are your thoughts on The Running Man? Now, I think you've watched it quite recently, haven't you, Paul?
Yes.
You weren't massively keen on it, were you? Is that a statement?
No, that was not from me.
Oh, right. Fair. I've got the impression that you weren't a fan for some reason. But anyway. Oh, God, no. The Running Man is getting a remake. Can't believe it, to be fair. It's absolutely rife for a remake.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts on The Running Man as it is. I really like The Running Man. I think the score in it is so sick, so memorable. I loved it. I showed my partner, Georgia, it a couple of years ago. She loved it. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, not my favorite Arnold film, but it's in top tier, not lower tier. But the concept to it is so sick. Like the game show, mate. Like this is so sick. And I think only now it can be even improved with like a budget and stuff like that. But so we have got, I'm just going to get this story up from the Hollywood Reporter. In talks to direct is none other than Edgar Wright, famous from the Cornetto trilogy. Now, mate, I love this. I absolutely love it. Like, Edgar Wright, first off, Shaun of the Dead, probably is in my top 20 films of all time, if I was going to really seriously think about it. That film, to me, is 5 stars out of 5. It's a masterclass in horror comedy, in my eyes. Love Hot Fuzz, and I like The World at World's End. I do love that. I don't love it. That's an overstatement. I don't like it as much as Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, but I do really like that film. I think it gets shit on a little bit more than what it's worth. But yeah, this is coming from Paramount Pictures, and it's starring none other than my number one pick for Cyclops, Glenn Powell. Mate, Glenn Powell, the Running Man. Is this not just like music to your ears or what? What do you think about this story, mate?
Yeah, look at that. Like Glenn Powell, who's having an absolute run at the moment. I got introduced to him with Top Gun Maverick. He was in that film with Sydney Sweeney at the start of the year. He's in Hitman. Is it that what it's called? Coming out.
Looks really good, yeah.
Looks really cool, yeah. Edgar Wright, Glenn Powell, a classic. Oh, classic. An 80s Arnie classic, man. Yeah, like you said, it is rife for a remake in our sort of social media age we're in now. What was great is, I recently watched it a couple of weeks ago. I think I picked it up on 4K in like a 2 for 30 in HMV. And I watched it with my girlfriend, and she was like, no one would watch this show in real life. I'm like, are you joking? Are you joking? If this was on the internet, people getting killed in a game show, you're telling me no one would watch it in real life? We're bullshit. Everyone would watch it. It'd be the best. It would be the biggest watched show in the history of television if it was real life. But yeah, I'm excited for it, man. It's what's good about the original is, well, not good about it, but it's not one of them films where I feel like don't touch this film. You know what I mean? No. It's as much as I love Arnie and I love his movies and I grew up with his movies. The Running Man is not one of them films where I'm like, don't touch this. This is flawless. It can't be improved. It can. You can go in any sort of direction with it. And Edgar Wright, not the sort of film, I don't think he's ever made really sort of a film like this before. Scott Pilgrim, but you know that's not really.
That's a good point, though.
I mean, Scott Pilgrim's probably his biggest big budget sort of movie, was it not?
Yeah, but it's like an adaptation, isn't it? Edgar Wright isn't known for doing other people's work, so
that's right.
Like, apart from Scott Pilgrim,
well,
so this is. Go on.
I was just gonna say, if I can remember, The Running Man is based on a novel, is it not? It's based on a Stephen King novel.
Stephen King novel, yeah.
That's right, yeah. So I can imagine it's going to be very different from the Arnie version.
Maybe more like the book that I haven't read. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's worth seeking that one out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, mate, I think this is. I saw this story and I was like, oh my God, Glenn Powell, Edgar Wright, Running Man. Yeah. like you say, this isn't a Total Recall for me where it's just like, don't remake that film. Whereas I don't hate the Total Recall remake, but if name it something else and just pop it over here, don't mention Total Recall or anything like it's an all right action science fiction film. It's fine.
The best sort of remakes for me, or sort of like a different adaptation, are the ones where once you have the both, you think, what version do I fancy watching? Whereas when you think of Total Recall, you're instantly going to go, I want to watch the Arnie version. As much as you enjoyed that remake, you're always going to grab the Arnie one. Always. Whereas the Running Man, if this is a banger film, once it's out, I'm like, do I want to watch the Arnie version, or do I want to watch the Edgar Wright Glenn Powell version?
Yeah, I wonder if they bring is it Jesse Ventura? Is he was in
the yeah. Well, what was his name in it, man? I can't remember his name.
I can't remember, but he's still kicking them out, man.
Captain Amazo or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember, but he was one of the best parts of that film, definitely.
You know, so something mean, Gene.
Yeah. But I'll be looking forward to that one. I can't wait to see what sort of direction it takes. It's been on the cards for a while, that as well. 2021, that started.
Oh, right.
Sort of not pre-production, but that's when Edgar Wright attached himself to it. Right, mate. Next little story here. Oh, we've just got Budget in the chat. How's it going, my friend? Yes, gents. Keeping my ears company as I rewrite my screenplay. Well in, mate. Good luck with that one. But okay. Next one, mate. This is quite upsetting for myself. Maybe you as well. Okay. The movie Critic has been abandoned by Mr. Quentin Tarantino. So, why this was obviously reported last week that he'd abandoned this one. This was going to be coming out through Sony. They were fully prepared to make this film with him. They're prepared to make whatever film he wants to do next. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up, Paul, is because this was going to be somewhat of a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which, you know, if we know Tarantino, like, I don't count, well, obviously he's made a sequel before in Kill Bill Vol 2, but coming
No,
from
that's
it doesn't count, does it? Like, because I
no.
think if he had it his way, we'd have got like a 4-hour film there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was actually Harvey Weinstein that made him split that up into two movies. But yeah, this one's just a bit upsetting for me, really, because one of my favorite characters in the last 10 years probably is Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt, and he was coming back for this film in the movie Critic, which I find interesting. He was going to be playing the same character, but it's been reported here. I just want to get the bit that I was reading up earlier on. Yeah, so it was previously reported that the movie Critic had undergone a number of rewrites as Tarantino tried to decide on what shape it would take. And today's report says one of the ideas that it might serve as a Tarantino goodbye metaverse, weaving in stars and characters from his past movies. To that end, the report says at one point evolved into something resembling a spin-off of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, with Brad Pitt set to reprise his Cliff Booth character. Another idea might have had characters interacting with a young aspiring filmmaker at a movie theater, something as a stand-in for Tarantino himself, who worked at a porn theater as a teenager. But yeah, I've read elsewhere as well that the returning characters were going to be the Vega brothers, so Michael Madison and Jesus Christ, John Travolta. But they weren't actually going to be playing the Vega brothers. They were going to be playing themselves, playing the Vega brothers in the movie, if you get me, which is a bit confusing. I know. The only thing that sort of upsets me here is the fact that Cliff Booth was going to be like returning, and I just want to see more Cliff Booth. But if I want more Cliff Booth, I need to go and read the novelization that Quentin Tarantino did for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because he's in that way more. But yeah, Paul, Quentin has abandoned his 10th film, the movie Critic. How do you feel about this one? It was going to be having some returning characters. How are you feeling? And if he's not doing this, what would you see? What would you want to see him do next for his final film?
That's right. Listen, I love Quentin Tarantino as much as every other film fan on planet Earth, bar Tarek, my mate, who can't stand him. But that's beside the point. Yeah, don't get me started. Listen, what you've just said to me, I was like, I don't like the sound of any of this that you're saying. The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel, semi-sequel, if you like, I'd be down for. I really like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's took me a couple of times to really get round to like really enjoying it, but even still, it's not a Tarantino film that, you know, if I want to stick one on, I'd pick it off the shelf. It's I've got to get myself in the mood for it. It's not a very rewatchable one. People might disagree, but that's just me. It's just not one. It's a very slow burn, long movie, I felt, but it's one of them. Once I'm in it, I'm in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can lose myself. I can lose myself to the 3 hours of that movie if I really want to. So doing a sequel to it, I'd be down for, but I won't be jumping for joy with it. What you described was sending me west. Like, I don't like the sound of any of this that you're saying. All this bringing it. It always feels like, you know what Kevin Smith does with his films, where he sort of like brings characters and flips them over and stuff like that.
Yeah, good shout.
But I don't think that really works with Tarantino. I feel like his characters are so established to the movies they're in that they can't like meet each other or anything. I mean, that'd be dead weird.
Yeah.
Listen, if Tarantino couldn't figure out his own script, then he wants to throw it in the bin and start again. Cool, then let's let the man do it. He wants his film. He keeps saying it's going to be his final film. I don't believe it will be.
He needs to stop that. It's too much
pressure. We'll
Get
see.
Away from that.
Yeah, he really does. But if he's wrote this and it's not connecting with him and it's not clicking into place, then all right, put it in the trash. Let's start something else. What I'd like to see him do, I'd like to see him go back to his roots with a crime movie. I love
Yes.
Reservoir Dogs. A lot of people are shouting for Kill Bill 3. I think that story's done in my eyes. A lot of people want to see what happens to oh Christ, what's the name in the film? The knife assassin's
the
daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone wants to see what happens with her. I've always, if that was ever to be expanded, I would like to have seen that sort of anime form or a comic book form, because he plays with anime in that movie.
Yeah, love
so
it.
I wouldn't mind seeing like a 30-minute sort of something that he's wrote and someone's animated it. I wouldn't mind doing that. Don't want to see him do a Kill Bill 3. I feel like that story's done with the Bride. Yeah, if I was to want another or a final Tarantino movie, I'd want it to go back to his roots, but with he's going to have a bigger budget, a better sort of a better director now, because he's made so many movies since. I'd love to see him go back and get not necessarily a Reservoir Dogs 2, but jump back into that pool of crime.
Yeah. See, the problem I was having with the movie Critic is it sounded like he was venturing too far up his own ass with it, right? So, like, the aspiring filmmaker who's supposed to be the stand-in for Tarantino, it just didn't sound very exciting to me. I can't lie.
Yeah.
And just to jump back on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm a bit like you. It's took me a few goes at it, but I really love that film now. I think it does get better with repeat watches. The problem I had initially with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is that I was going in thinking I was going to see an Inglourious Bastards version of the Manson murders, right?
Yeah.
So when I realized it wasn't that, and on like my second rewatch of Once Upon a Time, I was like, oh no, this is a bromance movie. This is a bromance movie between Brad Pitt and Leonardo. Like their relationship in that film is what draws me back to that film. It's like hanging out with two mates with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and there's some killer scenes in that film. Like anything to do with Leo in that middle section when he's got the fake tash on, he's being the cowboy, all awesome. And he starts booting off with him. He starts booting off with himself in his trailer. Like this is great stuff. Great stuff. But as far as me, Paul, I'm going to totally disagree with you on this one. I want Kill Bill Vol 3, man.
Okay.
Give me that film. I want to see that daughter from that first knife fight that we see in Kill Bill Vol 1, and maybe more of her story. Or did she ended up having a daughter, didn't she? So we meet her at the end of Kill Bill Vol 2. So what's Maya Hawke doing these days? Get Maya Hawke in. Let's go. I don't know, man. I'm only saying that I'm biased because Kill Bill's my favorite Quentin film. Like,
oh mate, if it was to release tomorrow, I'd be there midnight screening. But
I know you would.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but I love Kill Bill so much, but I just can't. Awesome. I just can't. I feel like it would. I feel like it'd feel like, because 1 and 2 were shot. I'm pretty sure he did them back to back, and it does feel like one complete movie. And I'd feel like it was an afterthought of a film, if that makes sense. Not like it'd be a bad film or not as good as them, but it would feel like a bit on the side. Like, I don't know.
I just think if he was to release something like Kill Bill Vol 3, it would almost feel like, I don't think he'd do it because he's sort of expecting us lot for him to say that we want Kill Bill Vol 3. I think he'd just go against the curb. Do you know what I mean? A little bit. But we'll see. I just wish he hadn't put this like enormous amount of pressure on himself. Like that's what's happened here. He's got like cold feet and it's like, oh, it needs to be better. And I think with him trying to do a metaverse thing, bringing back the Vega brothers and stuff like that, it was just getting too centric about himself a little bit. So I'm pleased and sad at the same time, but whatever. We just got a Badger in the comments. He's saying, holy shit, I didn't know that they'd be playing as themselves. I might have got that a bit mixed up in the article that I was reading, but that's the impression that I was getting. And yeah, he's just agreeing. No, Kill Bill 3, please. But yeah, I'm right with what you're saying there, Paul, about the anime. They should have done that like a couple of years after Vol 2. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And followed that story. I really like that idea because the
Yeah,
anime stuff.
sort of like what they did with the Animatrix, where they sort of expanded
Yes, totally.
on the lore within the world. I think because that anime part in it is so good.
So good, so good. All right, mate. Next story, second last story I've got here. Just quickly get into this one. So it's been widely reported that they are gearing up for 28 years later. They have found a buyer to obviously produce the film. I think it might be another Sony picture, if I'm not mistaken. But Danny Boyle is coming back for this one. I'm not sure if Cillian Murphy's coming back for this one or not. I'm not sure. It didn't say that in the this report. But mate, look at this cast: Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Ralph Fiennes to start in 28 days later for Danny Boyle and Sony Pictures. So yeah, it is a Sony Pictures. Right, mate. I'm just buzzing about this. Obviously, Alex Garland is penning the script again for this one.
Yeah.
I think he must have had that idea for a while. He's recently just released Civil War. If you want to check out my review, guys, I've got a review on the channel for that one. Spoiler alert, I wasn't a massive fan of it. But I am a fan of 28 Days Later. And I'm a big fan of 28 Weeks Later, actually, as well. Not as good as the first movie, but for a sequel, I think you could have done a lot worse in my eyes. Look, there's not really much I can say apart from each one of these actors a shit hot, in my opinion. Jodie Comer is awesome. I would have had Jodie Comer playing Sue Storm if it wasn't. Who did we end up getting in the end? Sorry,
Vanessa
I'm blanking
Kirby.
on her name. Vanessa Kirby. Yeah, if it wasn't going to be Vanessa Kirby, I'd have been in Jodie Comer's corner for that one. We've obviously got Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's hot shit at the moment. Doesn't want to be Bond though for some reason. Come on. And Ralph Fiennes, who I last saw in The Menu, which was an awesome little movie. I can't wait for this, mate. It's all systems go now. It didn't have a producing partner last time we spoke about this, but Sony have grabbed the rights for this one. Mate, what do you think about this this cast that's just been revealed? Awesome.
Mate, yeah, that cast is stacked. I'm ready to go for this. The zombie subgenre of horror is one of my favourite subgenres of horror. I grew up with watching zombie movies. I love The Walking Dead. I love playing Resident Evil. Like, I love the zombie genre. And 28 Days Later, when that hit in the early thousands, man, I was all over it. Like, I was obsessed with that film when it first came out. Really enjoyed the sequel. I haven't watched them both in a very, very long time, but I remember at one point thinking it was better than the original. But I think if I was to go back and watch them now, I'd probably go with the first one's a better made movie. I'm man, they've been talking about getting this made for so long, and I think them waiting. I think because it's been so long since 28 Weeks Later that the title fits. Do you know what I mean? It's like this totally. 28 years. Do you know what I mean?
Believable.
Yeah. So what we're going to see in this, because it's going to be very, very The Last of Us. Do you know what I mean? Where
yes, like a lot of overgrown shit, like in London. I
want to see wherever it's set, what it looks like 28 years later after that outbreak. But yeah, that cast is ridiculous. The Alex Garland coming on to, I think he's co-directing or whatever, even if he's doing it himself. Danny Boyle coming back, man. Get Cillian in there, Cillian. We're all gravy. Good to go.
Yeah, man, definitely. And, even though I didn't like Civil War, I appreciated the scope of that film. And, I could imagine Alex Garland taking some tricks and tips he's learned from Civil War and bringing it over to a film like this. Sort of lines up quite right. But yeah, man, I'd love to see them because they didn't manage to do it for weeks later. I'd love to see them recapture that quintessential famous shot of Cillian Murphy on the London Bridge. If they could somehow recapture that, that would be awesome. Even if they put a little bit of CGI in there, I wouldn't mind. But yeah, I'm a bit like you. For a long time, I was like, do I prefer the sequel over to the first one? And it's just because, is it Robbie Carlyle? He's so bloody good in that sequel, mate. And the other thing as well, that first film from Danny Boyle, the way it's filmed, for whatever reason, it looks like total shit. But like, I don't know whether it's supposed to emulate sort of CCTV footage cameras a little bit.
That's right.
I might be wrong on that one, but like that's like one of them films that I haven't bothered to upgrade from DVD to Blu-ray because of how bad it looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like very grainy and gritty, isn't it?
Very grainy, yeah.
Like Dead Gorilla style filming.
It adds to the atmosphere of that film totally. Yeah. Like if you remember in that first film where he's in the church right early on, and my God, that is a scary scene, man.
Yeah.
The first one's a banger of a movie, especially in that in the later third act when they get to the soldier base, and then it starts really kicking off.
I think the second one for me, when it come out, granted, this is like 20 years ago, so I was only in my teens when these films dropped. For me, the second one was more action-packed. So for me, it felt like Aliens to Alien or Terminator 2 to Terminator. Whereas now I'm older, I can look at both of them and be like, is the first one better than the second one? Do you know what I mean? For both Aliens, Terminator, and Terminator 2, be like, is the first one better than the second one? But I still prefer the second one. But the argument's there.
Yeah, 100%. I need a rewatch of these pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
I'm hyping my own self up for these. But yeah, that cast is awesome. Can't wait. And it's, my God, it's like, that's a heavy cast. So the script must be good. Like they must have looked at it and thought, you know what, I want to be a part of this. So yeah, we'll see how that one turns out. We've actually got Tarek in the chat. Mate, why don't you like Quentin Tarantino? But anyway.
Don't get it started.
He's saying, what's good, fellas? I'm currently at work and it's dead. That's how we like it. So why the fuck not tune in? Yeah, mate.
That's it, man.
All right, mate. Last news topic of the night. We've got a little trailer to talk about here. So, Deadpool and Wolverine, mate.
Oh,
New trailer out the other day. It's absolutely, yet again, broke all records. What I'll say about this trailer, right, or just the fact that of how many views it's got. We're not going to watch it, guys. I'll just put it on the back.
How many has it got? Can you see there? How many it's got?
It has currently got 10 million views in 3 days, and I think Ryan Reynolds has got about 3 million posted the same video.
I'm already going to go out with. I'm going to say this is going to be the first Billy film of the year.
What was? I don't know. What was the last $1 billion film that we got? Can you remember? Barbie. Yes, it was Barbie. Right. Okay. So it is doable then. It is doable. I think you might be right there, Paul. And I think what this shows is that if Marvel just get their heads together sometimes and put two really famous, popular characters on screen together, you're going to have people going. You're going to have people flocking to the cinema. What I'll say about this trailer is that I enjoyed it way more than the first trailer that we got. The first trailer, I was a little bit disappointed with, just surely from the fact that there wasn't any Wolverine in there. I just thought it was a little bit silly, seeing though how much we'd seen him prior to the film. Now, we did mention in that video, me and you were in the minority there, where we are scoping these pictures out. They're hitting us in our algorithms, whether we like it or not. Do you know what I mean? That ain't the same for my partner. My missus are out like that. So, you know, this trailer, awesome. I don't know whether it's raising more questions, but that's a good thing. I'm not going to lie. I was initially a little bit put off by the F-bombs from Wolverine. I just thought it was a bit too heavy in the first minute. I was like, this is a bit jarring for me, but the multiple times I've watched it, that's obviously gone out the window. All the jokes, funny as hell in it, especially the coke jokes at the end. Absolutely amazing. His delivery there is fucking awesome.
Forrest bumped.
Yeah. Do you want to build a snowman? No. Yes. But yeah, just awesome, man. It looks like it's taking a few references from the Old Man Logan comic with the giant Ant-Man thing that's in the trailer. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. I'm not like, I don't know. It's like I've said in the past, I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan myself. Like I think they're fine, them two films. If I was 16, I would absolutely love them films. But as far as this trailer goes, yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward. I'm going to be there day one for it, of course. We saw a few extra people in the trailer. We've obviously got Pyro in there. We've got, I think it looked like Toad, Azala. I can't say his name right. Azala from First Class, Red Nightcrawler, basically.
Yeah. Ezekiel.
It's not Ezekiel.
No, I know who you mean.
It's roughly, it's roundabout there. We got the ANZ right, and we got Lady Deathstrike there as well, which I could make out from the trailer, but I don't know if it's the same actress playing from X2. Is it really? Oh, wow!
I think they're all the same actors. I think Ray Park's Toad. I think Sabretooth was there.
You got Ray Park back, yeah? No way.
I think so. Don't quote me on that. Don't be in the comments going bullshit. You're lying, Paul. I think I've read that all their cast, they're all coming back for it.
Cool, man. Well, look, I'm looking forward to it. There's not much I can really say on this trailer, apart from it just looks good. It's giving me Mad Max vibes, which I wasn't really expecting a little bit. Obviously, we see in the trailer at one point, I think, is it Goliath from Loki? So at the end of Loki season 1, when they're in that sort of void bit, could this be the same area where they are? Obviously, we're dealing with the TVA in this movie, so that's a possibility. There's some moments in the trailer where it looks like the intro of Age of Ultron, if I'm not mistaken. So at the start of that film where they're in the woods sort of thing and it's snowy environment, same sort of thing going on in this trailer. But Paul, Deadpool and Wolverine, we've got our first sort of official look at Wolverine, and he's got all the F-bombs in the world. My question to you is, what did you think about this trailer? And my second one, which version of Wolverine do you think this is?
Okay, with you. Okay. Love the trailer. I was in work when it dropped. I think it dropped like 2 PM, slap bang in the middle of work. My mate who I work with was big into his Marvel films as well. And he's like, they've just dropped the trailer. I went, back in a minute, ran to the toilet, watched it. As soon as that Madonna song hit, man, I was grinning, ear to ear, the whole trailer, the whole 2.5 minutes, I was smiling, watching it. I was like, oh man, yeah, they're knocking it out of the park here. Hugh Jackman looks awesome, man. That guy, I don't know how he does it. Seeing that yellow suit, like classic suit, man, and at the height of X-Men 97 as well, so X-Men's really big at the moment. Just look at it, man. Just seeing them two together, it's so good, man. Yeah, I love the trailer. I cannot wait for this film. Like you said, Marvel needs this, man. They need people back because as much as I enjoy majority of the films they put out, I am under no illusion that the last couple of films haven't been bangers. They haven't been fan favorites. They haven't pulled the crowd in. They need the crowd in. All the sweaty comic book fans are going to go and watch all these Marvel films regardless. That's not what they're worried about now. They need to get the casuals back in the cinema. They need to be hitting them, the margins that they were hitting with Marvel before the decline. They need to get back to the top of the mountain. I think this will do it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're definitely right. One thing I do want to see, and I just paused it on this moment, is because I really like this moment. It just shows a bit of humanity to Wolverine, because one thing I don't want the film to just be is just a cameo fest, and there's no tangible story. Like, I want to feel some emotion with, especially with Wolverine, because we've got so much history with that character.
If there's things in this trailer that I see that I feel like are things that I can sort of work out from stuff they're pulling from the comics. So in terms of that, I feel like whatever I say could become a spoiler. It could spoil it for people, so I won't say it. All I'll say is go read the Days of Future Past comic book, not the film, not the animated thing, the comic book. In terms of what version of Wolverine it is, I think it is going to be the Days of Future Past one. I'm just having a guess. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to introduce him back into it. I don't know what they're going to do. But if I had to have pull it out the air, I'd probably say the Days of Future Past Wolverine. In terms of the villain of the movie, again, because of I know the comics, I know who it is, and again, I feel like I feel like
everyone knows that.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a good sort of surprise for people. So I won't say it here, but I'm excited for that because I've literally just read a series of X-Men comics where that character is in it, and it's got me a lot more excited now to see that person in live action.
We'll just say she's someone's sister that means something.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, what was I going to say? I had something to say. I think this is funny as, by the way, where this shot of them both walking here, and on the shop in the background, it says Live Fields, just feet, because he's commonly known for being shit at drawing feet in the comics.
Yeah, that's right.
But I thought that was brilliant. There was something else I was going to say on this trailer, but I've totally forgotten, and it's going to really annoy me.
What I found was fun about the trailer was a lot of people realized that the day the trailer dropped was the day that Like a Prayer by Madonna first went into the charts, the exact day.
Right.
And Ryan Reynolds retweeted it saying, "I promise you, this is all a coincidence."
I bet, man. I bet. No, I definitely knew. Surely. But that was what I was going to say. So my little theory here, and someone shoot me down straight away in the comments, but I think this might be the same Logan as the one we got in Logan, right?
Okay.
So it's obviously dealing with the TVA, isn't it? So we can jump about in time a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Logan was actually set in the future. It wasn't set in present day. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, obviously he was more aged in Logan, and he's got a sort of similar style haircut to what he's got in this one, but that's not the reason I'm going off it. I think it says in this trailer, obviously, where he's in the TVA and it looks like he's been knocked out or whatever. He can't move. He was like, the TVA say like, this guy failed his universe or something on the same lines of that. I think that was the sort of impression that I got in Logan, that they were sort of setting it up that Charles had something to do with the death of the X-Men along with Logan. But Logan's been involved in the comics before where he's done some mad shit to his fellow members. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just wondering, because there's a clip in this trailer as well where he looks like he's in this sort of like psycho plane where there's all them stones, and I'm just wondering if they're the graves of the X-Men. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'd love this Wolverine to mean something to me. I hope it's not just like a really random variant of Wolverine that we're getting. I hope there's some sort of connectivity from the older movies, because it'd just mean more to me on a personal level, I think, than him just being a random variant. But even if he is, this looks great. It's an absolute treat. Go on.
I was just going to say, there's loads of rumours of other characters coming back from the Fox X-Men movies that we haven't seen in the trailer. Again, there are rumours. I forget the actress who played Jean Grey in the Fox. The first three
movies. Jensen.
She keeps getting asked if she's in it, and she keeps saying no. But everyone's like, "Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are in it."
100%.
Yeah, so I reckon we get James Marsden back as Cyclops for a little cameo. Just little things that what I feel like this film will do for the Fox universe is close the chapter on the X-Men movies. Not like what Logan did with Wolverine. I think it'll close the chapter on the X-Men movies and then usher in for the new one. What I will ask you quickly is, do you think this movie in its post, I don't want it to be that's the whole reason of the movie is because it's for this purpose, but do you think this film will tee up the X-Men for the MCU?
It's I think it'd be a missed opportunity to not. I think because this is the only film out this year from MCU wise, and because we are in the height of X-Men talk at the moment, I think to leave us with something to talk about for the next year until there's another Marvel movie, that'd be a good move from Disney, I think, personally. I don't think it's going to set up the X-Men like new team, because unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because it's something I don't really want, I think they will milk Hugh Jackman dry for another couple of. I swear, Paul, I think this bloke will come back for Secret Wars, 100%. 100%.
I mean, I don't mind it coming back for Secret Wars because that's sort of like playing sort of I don't know. That's sort of playing with just different variants and different multiversey sort of stuff.
I'd love to be the closing chapter. I'm with you.
Yeah,
like close the chapter on the mainline X-Men Fox movies. Let's put them to bed. Give James Marsden his dues. Give him a really cool, awesome scene like they did for Cyclops in the X-Men 97 show this season. Like, give him some of that flavor. Do you know what I mean? Not sure if we'll see Halle Berry back or anything like that as Storm. But I don't know. Is there anyone you want to see that hasn't been rumored who you'd like to see pop up maybe?
McAvoy, I would like to see.
Yeah.
And Fassbender.
I was going to say, if you bring in McAvoy, you've got to bring Fassbender as well.
And I think we will. I think they're going to have, or even if it's just like a do sort of thing. I mean, they tease in that trailer Doctor Strange with the thing at the end.
Yeah, you're right.
And a lot of people have said online that if you go back and watch on the trailer, what they jump into is just white, and so they think that the trailer's deliberately done that so we can't see what they're jumping into.
Oh,
so in the movie we'll see it. I don't know, man. Like I don't know who else. They seem to have a lot lined up, but my only sort of, and I've only just thought of this, is this feeling more like an X-Men movie than a Deadpool movie? Or...
Well, funny enough you say that. I think Sean Levy, who's directing it, came out recently and said this isn't Deadpool 3. This is more of like a continuation, maybe, or a closing chapter, but he's not seeing it as Deadpool 3, which I found interesting. But yeah, mate, Deadpool 3, can't wait. Deadpool and Wolverine, I need to start calling it. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think this movie can fail at all in any way, to be fair. I think it's all thumbs up from here. We've got
if this does fail, and if this comes out to bad reviews and it's not making money, then Marvel really will be in, I think, serious trouble.
You know, when that white portal is on screen, I wonder if they're jumping into the X-Men 97 universe and they just said,
"Oh, don't." Do you
know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing now, but I'm talking shit. But that would be interesting.
It's one of them movies just to have this teeing it up there, or we're all going to be thinking about for the next however long until it comes out is speculation. I don't want to get too fucking hyped for it. Do you know what I mean? Where it doesn't hit me, but I think it's going to be a bang. I really do. I think Marvel have gone back to the drawing board. They've really sat down. They've got this film together. They're really pushing the marketing for it. Ryan Reynolds seems to be excited. Hugh Jackman's excited for it. It seems like they've got a good product on their hands. And once it drops, I can't wait to see everyone. Oh, apparently Marvel fatigue's disappeared all of a sudden again because they've dropped now a decent film.
Yeah, we won't be making them videos anymore. Well, I won't be anyway. But yeah, guys, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's just going to be an absolute guaranteed banger. All right, mate. We'll get on to our final little segment here. Right. Zack Snyder. Right, mate.
What a guy.
What a guy. What a guy. I will say the bloke, right, for how, no matter how device his films are, he is a pleasant bloke. So when you watch him in interviews and stuff like that, he's really sound. I just think the problem with Zack Snyder is that his ideas just run away with him a little bit. And especially when it came to DC and some of the shit that he was doing with DC and was gonna do with DC if he got the reins to it after Justice League. There was some crazy stuff reported about what he was going to do with Batman and Lois and stuff like that. It was, to be fair, it might have been really cool. I think it was going to take more of an injustice type sort of situation, which, would have been cool, but you would have pissed off a load of diehard fans who have nothing to do with them games. You know what I mean? But, right, we've got a little tier list. I'll bring this up now, mate. But just your quick thoughts on Zack Snyder as a director, mate. Are you a fan?
I love Zack. I think he's a fantastic director. He's not a good writer. I think he's a fantastic director. Every movie I've watched of his, including Rebel Moon, we will get onto it. I think visually incredible. That is my style of films, and I know people take the piss out of his slow motion. When he does slow motion scenes, for some reason they hit me. Like I'm like, because it feels grand and epic, and it's so when he does that, it works for me in films. I recently just rewatched his Justice League about 3 weekends ago, and there's a few slow motion scenes in that with the Wonder Woman, the Amazons, and that. And I was like, this is awesome. There's loads that every time he does it, and when he does the slow motion thing, I don't notice it and think, oh, fucking hell, he's doing the slow motion thing again. I think, oh, it's like a cool scene. And I think he's even said in interviews, the reason he does it is to heighten the sort of what's happening in the scene. And for me, it works. So I've never been one of that, oh, bloody hell, he's the slow-mo guy. But in terms of visuals, I enjoy, you'll be surprised what I say with a few of these films. So let's get on with it.
Right, we'll get into it. I've just totally fucked my list up here. But, right, so I just want to quickly, because there's one film I haven't seen by Zack Snyder. Just wondering if you have or not. And it's his animated film, the CGI one about the owls. It's Legends of Ga'Hoole, I think it is.
Oh, God, I don't think I have seen that.
Just want to get that one out the way if we haven't seen it, that's all.
How do you spell Ga'Hoole?
Oh my God. Hang on, it's a weird spelling here. So funny that we're doing this. Hang on, or is it Guardians of Ga'Hoole?
Legends of the Guardians. Is that it? Legend of the Guardians. No, I've not seen this film.
Right, Legend of the Guardians. Yeah, that's it. Right, so we're just going to get rid of that one straight away. We haven't seen it. Sorry, folks. If someone's seen it in the...
it's not really live action, though, is it? It's animated, so...
Yeah, animation doesn't count, does it? It's not real films.
No, it's not. This is our Zack Snyder live action tier list. Did you not know?
Right, all right. I'm going to start us off with Dawn of the Dead right now. And you know what, Paul? I'm going to put this in S tier. S tier Zack Snyder. Cool. Mate, I'm not joking. So this, apart from Shaun of the Dead, right? If there's a zombie film that I'm going to sit down and watch, it's Dawn of the Dead. Simple as. It's got one of the best openings ever to a zombie film. That house scene, going into where she meets up with the cop, then they go into the mall. Mate, when we're talking about zombies, I want to see them in malls. So when I was younger and my Xbox 360, you'll definitely have played it. Dead Rising, mate. How awesome was that game?
Very awesome.
Do you know what I mean? And this sort of just gave me that same sort of feeling. So, like, when I finished watching Dawn of the Dead, I'd be like, right, now I'm going to go and play Dead Rising. It's like they work in tandem together. There's just something about shopping malls and zombies that work. And with this one, interestingly enough, it wasn't Zack Snyder who wrote it. It was James Gunn. So it was always going to be this well, James Gunn wasn't the James Gunn that he is now. This came out like 20 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So he wasn't a big name back then. But, and I haven't seen it in a minute, to be fair. So it'd be quite interesting going back and watching this one through them James Gunn sort of eyes, just to see if I pick up on any lines of dialogue or anything like that sound familiar. But Paul, I just think this is an awesome zombie film. You're way more into this zombie sort of subgenre than what I am. I'm a big fan, but you've got your ears to the floor with this one. What do you think about this remake of Dawn of the Dead?
Oh mate, I love it. This is one of the best remakes of all time. I love the original. I love the original Dawn of the Dead. It's one of the first zombie films I ever seen. It sort of went hand in hand, the original one, with Resident Evil. I sort of was getting into sort of zombie stuff around 95, 96 when I was like 10, 11 years old. And then I watched like the original Dawn of the Dead and the Night of the Living Dead remake from Tom Savini. And then this popped up in the early thousands, didn't it? Along it come out with a couple of other horror films around the time, but I'm blanking on them at the moment. But I loved it. I thought it was a great remake, a modern version of the story. Doesn't do as much as the social commentary as the original does, but that doesn't really. When people pull that out of Dawn of the Dead, I'm like, yeah, it does do that, but that's not what I'm watching it for. I'm watching it because I want to see zombies getting blown to shit and people getting bitten. Yeah. That's what I want to watch a zombie movie for. And this gives you that in spades. It's bloody as hell. The zombies in it are savage, fast runners. The cast's great. Ving Rhames, I love it. The cop with the shotgun is awesome in it. I love the lead. I forget her name. Sarah something. The lead actress's name. I can't remember. Sarah Polly or something. She's great in it. Like you said, great opening. Just a great. I think it's only like 100 minutes long. It's like.
Oh, you're in and out.
Yeah, he just whips, man. And that end bit when they come out with the truck all geared up with chainsaws and shit. Man.
Metal, mate.
Yeah, metal. It's so good. The score for it's awesome. The soundtrack for it's awesome. It's literally. Yeah, you if someone watches this, you don't have a good time of it. I don't know what's wrong with you, man. It's a banger film.
It's a classic. Like the zombie baby, mate. That one always used to throw me off a little bit. But yeah, as far as Zack Snyder goes, one of his best films, truly S tier ranking. So we move on to 300. Now, this one, 300 sort of the first film I think of when I think of Zack Snyder, because this is truly the start of his. I think we can both agree, Paul, that Zack is style sometimes over substance. Do you know what I mean? Right. And this film is very visually striking and original for the time, I would say. It's mega CGI heavy, but because it looks so original to me, and this was a new. This is when we first get introduced to slow-mo Snyder. Do you know what I mean? Like these are all like. The slow-mo
staples.
Shot. Yeah, and I think the slow-mo doesn't work as well in any other film but 300. Don't get me wrong, I'm like you. I like the slow-mo. That isn't something that I necessarily nitpick apart from the last two movies he's just made. But 300, like, mate, when the spears are all coming over and it covers the clouds and stuff and it makes it pitch black, like, all them moments, like, are so sick. And there's like this one shot of Leonardus, like where he's like taking peeps out, and it's like this one take of him like using spears, then putting the spear down, getting his sword out. And if that was done quickly, that wouldn't have had the same effect as it did, where it slowed right down and you can see all the choreography dead well. Like, and let's face it, 300 has some of the most memeable content within this film of all time. Like, let's face it, it's Sparta.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, it's old news at this point, but this is where it come from. I think this is a Frank Miller adaptation, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So, you know, you can tell Snyder's an absolute Frank Miller fanboy. You know what I mean? If he had his way with, you've just got to watch Batman v Superman. I very much think his Ben Affleck Batman Dark Knight is ripped straight out the Dark Knight Returns. Like how bulky he is and stuff like that. But 300, folks, it's not necessarily a film that I rewatch a lot these days, but 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I did put it on quite a lot to rewatch. It's got some real weird bits in it, like some of the creature designs and stuff. I think 300's quintessential Zack Snyder. I don't enjoy it as much as Dawn of the Dead, but I would be prepared to maybe put this in B/A. How about you, mate? What's your thoughts on 300?
Yeah, I've not seen it in a hot minute. I've seen it for probably haven't seen it in a decade. I don't think.
Yeah.
But when it first come out, I was all over it. It come out around the same time Sin City, Robert Rodriguez, which is another Frank Miller book, and it's like what they're trying to do, both them directors, is adapt the comic onto the big screen and give it that comic flavor. And he goes on to do it in with Watchmen, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But he's really trying to put panel to page, and that's all over 300. The way he sets up scenes is like how artists set up panels in comics. Some of the shots in it are straight out the comic book. Again, I've not read the comic in a long time, but I remember when it first came out, I was reading the comic and I was really getting into 300. It's not his best film. Again, no. The fact that I haven't watched it in a while tells me that I probably don't like it as much as I used to anymore. I've not gone, oh man, that film I used to love, I'm going to watch it again. It's sort of, it feels like it's fizzling away. That sort of movie that's fizzling away. But it's a banger film. Gerard Butler's awesome in it. Like you said, memeable as hell. It's bloody as hell. Some great fight scenes in it. It's a sword and sandal movie, a bloody one, which we don't get much of. No. So it's always good to get that in on the big screen. I'd probably go B as well. I've got no negatives to the film. It's just a film that I don't really revisit or watch as much anymore.
No, that's fair. That's definitely fair. I think I'd put this in B, 100%. And like you were saying there, I didn't even mention, but Gerard Butler, it sort of puts him in the universe a little bit, doesn't it? We wouldn't. Mm-hmm. I don't think I wish Gerard Butler would get a really, really great film under his belt. Don't get me wrong, he's been in a lot of good films, but he's never had that one film where it's made a mistaken household name. I know he's done them Olympus movies, but they're just sort of die hard.
I think my favorite movie of his was Law Abiding Citizen.
Oh yeah, Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, but even that, that film's a banger, but it still didn't make him because
they always try and put an American accent on him, and I don't think he can fly with it very well. He was in there was a movie that came out a couple of years ago. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, called Cop Shop, I think it was. Yeah. Good little movie. Had Frank Grillo in it and stuff like that. Solid little action movie, and it took a little bit of a turn with Gerard Butler's character that I wasn't expecting. I recommend that one. It's good. All right, mate. Next film. This is far and wide S tier for me, Watchmen. It's not only S tier for me, but it is one of my all-time favorite films. And it wasn't straight away. As I've got older, this film's got better. The only issue I have with this film is because when I watched this in 2009, I was not aware of the Watchmen comic at that point. This trailer come out, and honestly, I shit you not, this is not hyperbolic or anything like that. I've still got the trailer saved. This is one of my all-time favorite trailers, if not my favorite trailer of all time. I remember rewatching the shit out of this trailer. It's got this Smashing Pumpkins song in that never gets played anymore, and it's just the most epic thing you've ever seen. It's this looked like I was watching this at the time in 2009, and when the DC logo come up and stuff like that, I automatically pitted this as it's in this is Gotham. Do you know what I mean? This is Gotham somewhere. I've got to now look into this, and when I found out it's totally detached from DC, like Superman, Batman, all that, made me love it even more. But the other thing that I found out in later years is that I much prefer the comic book ending than the film ending. Now, I'm not taking that away from the film. The fact that they use a bomb instead of like a nuclear bomb at the end of a Watchmen movie instead of the squid to unite the nations. I understand why they do that. More believable in Zack Snyder's sort of world that he's adapting. But like we both said, like you said there, Paul, about 300, he adapts the comic book, like sort of panel to panel, almost for 95% of this movie until we get to the end. But luckily, I was they obliged through my my negatives, and they put that in the Watchmen series, the TV show that came out on HBO. We actually got that, the squid in that one, so I was pleased about that. But yeah, mate, I just think across the board, not only is this one of the best looking films, like none of the CGI in it affects me. I think it works so well. Like Zack Snyder's style actually does a lot for this film. I would go as far as to say it's his best film that he's ever made. I would say the performances are absolutely amazing. Made me a mega fan of Patrick Wilson. Followed his career ever since 2009. Love that guy. And I'm sorry, Rorschach. So Jackie Earle Haley, who plays Rorschach, mate, is just, I just think that's one of the best like book to movie crossover like adaptations ever. Like when you read the book, all I can hear is Jackie Earle Haley's voice now. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I won't have anything different from it. But yeah, I think this is a fantastic film. Obviously, you got like Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a comedian and stuff like that. So it's hellish. The look of it, everything, the soundtrack. This is, to me, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. I think the only problem with this film is that it maybe is a bit too long. So the director's cut, even without the Black Freighter in it, is still a beastie movie. And I don't think there was any other way to do this movie. I think it might have been better as a TV show, but it doesn't matter. What we got here was absolutely quality. Is that what the hell? Look, Tarek is just saying here. Don't forget David Hayter writing the film. What about Watchmen? No, I'm sure he must be behind on that one. But anyway, Paul, Watchmen, 09. What do you think about this one?
Apparently, he was a screenwriter.
Holy shit, Tarek! You blew my mind.
Pulling out the facts. Why aren't you on this stream, Tarek?
What are you doing? Where you at?
Yeah, apparently he was a screenwriter.
No
I felt like I knew that, but I'm not taking that after Tarek pulled that. But I feel like I'd read that before, but I didn't put it together.
That is,
yeah.
I'm
Metal Gear Solid Snake himself.
Put it in my pocket now. So whenever anyone goes on about Watchmen, oh, do you know this? Cheers, Tarek.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paul, Watchmen 09. What?
Yeah, man. like you, man. When this film come out, this is when I was getting into more sort of adult comics, more mature comics, and I seen the film first. But I went into this film a bit like everyone else who had not read the book, where I thought it was going to be a big sort of action comic book movie.
Yeah.
With this brand new cast of characters, the sort of like the X-Men or Justice League or whatever. I had no idea who the Watchmen were, what the story was. I just seen the trailer. I was like, oh, this looks like it's going to be an awesome comic book action movie. And it's not at all. It's a fucking thriller. It's a murder mystery. It's diplomatic.
Yeah, political.
Political, yeah. It's so I will admit, when I first watched this film and I first walked out the cinema, I was like, I don't know if I enjoyed that. I then did a lot of research into Watchmen. I read people who were familiar with the book's reviews, people who were familiar with the source materials reviews. I then sourced the book out myself, read it, read more Alan Moore's sort of talks about what it's about in sort of the beginning of the book, sort of what his history. I sort of just really delved into it because I was like, I want to love this film and I need to understand it more to enjoy it. So once I sort of grasped what it was and what it was doing, I went to watch it again. And the second time round, it all just clicked into place for me, completely clicked into place for me. And I absolutely loved it. Like you, man, this is, if not for Dawn of the Dead, this is probably my favorite Zack Snyder movie. This is my favorite Zack Snyder comic book movie by far. Yeah. I think it's one of the best adapted movies ever, not just comic books, from book to movie. I think it's one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
Cast is fire on all cylinders, visually amazing, scores amazing, the script's amazing. I love everything about this movie. And it, you know, if not for this movie, I might not have been a fan of Watchmen. And this turned me into a mega fan of that story. I've read the book now multiple times. I've watched the film multiple times, all different cuts. I recently bought the 4K Ultimate Director's fucking everything thrown into the sync cut. And I think it clocks in at like 4.5 hours or something daft like that. And I thought, I need to set a day aside for this. And I did sometime last year, watched the whole thing in one go, minus toilet breaks and whatnot. Loved it. I think this is an incredible film. Was a big advocate of the TV series as well. I thought it was a great companion piece to the movie. Yeah, it's amazing. It is one of my. If I had like a top 100 films of all time, and I don't, but I feel like it would be in there easy.
That I'm currently working on a top 100 at the moment.
Oh, right, okay.
It's made the slot. I've got about 25, 30 films in there at the moment. That's made the cut. I just love it. I absolutely love it, and I think that it ages like a fine wine, in my opinion. And I think I was just way too young at the time to watch this film and like really pick up on the political themes of it. Obviously, the fact that like Vietnam was never a thing, like back in the Watchmen world and stuff. Just knowing more about the political landscape of like the 70s, 80s, Nixon and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Because it does play a big part in it.
And it's also riffing on the superhero genre, which I didn't understand, I didn't grasp at the time, but now we're seeing it all the time with like The Boys, Invincible, you know, so many other writers have riffed on the genre to keep it fresh. And I feel like this is one of the first to do it.
Yeah, 100%. I like both of Alan Moore's adaptations that have been done. So this and V for Vendetta, I think, are both phenomenal. V for Vendetta, that was like another one that like aged like a fine wine. The older I got, the better that film got. Definitely. All right, mate, we'll move on. Right, Sucker Punch. I'll be honest, right? 15-year-old little Ellis is loving this film. For all the wrong reasons. 30-year-old Ellis, not so much. There's got some cool visual elements in it, like the right at the start when it gets like a bit anime and it's all like she's fighting a big giant robotic samurai with red glowing eyes, mate. That's what, like, so when I did my stories on Instagram today, that Bjork song, Army of Me, that's from that scene in Sucker Punch. It's one of the coolest, dopest scenes ever. But that's about it when it comes to this film for me. I think, in fairness, they are doing some interesting things with mental health, right? And that sort of, because I think they're on like a psychiatric ward,
That's
and
right,
like it's like diving into that, sort of using these like visions and stuff of what's going on through the heads and stuff. I like sort of what he was going for, but if I'm being honest, I haven't seen this film in a long time, but I have seen that opening sequence a hell of a lot of times. But yeah, Sucker Punch for me isn't one of his best whatsoever. If I was going to put this in a ranking, it would probably be D, I would say. But Paul, Sucker Punch for you? Do you feel better about this one than what I do?
No, out of all the films on this list, this is probably the one I've probably got the least to say. I've only ever watched it once when it first come out.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I forgot about it. I can't even really remember what it was about. I just remember a load of girls in school uniforms with swords and shit. Yeah. Which is very anime, and I love anime, so that's probably what I was starting. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was just. It felt like it should have been more like a video game or something.
Yeah,
I feel like I need to rewatch it, see how I feel with it. But I remember at the time not really vibing with it, so I don't know what really to put it into here. So if you want, you can stick it where you feel. You probably can remember it a lot more than me.
I'll put it in D. It's okay. Like it's just one of the classic Snyder things. Visually looks impressive, but just not a lot of substance there. I think it's got an early role from Oscar Isaac, if I'm not mistaken. But
Okay.
yeah, I'd probably rewatch that one again pretty soon. I suppose I should have really done it for this stream, but hey ho. Right, mate. We'll get into our next one. He is now being given the full reins of the DC universe, and he opens it up with Man of Steel. Now, I really enjoy this film. I know people go absolutely divvy for this film. People love this film. And I think a lot of that is to do with maybe his people age growing up and this being their first Superman on screen. It wasn't my first Superman on screen. This sounds mental, but I've got more affiliation with the likes of Brandon Routh from that one film because I did used to watch it quite a bit back in the day. There's a lot of things I love about that film. It doesn't come together as an amazing film by the end of it, but yeah, it's got its moments. Man of Steel for me has got one of the best openings of any comic book movie. That whole opening section on Krypton is sick, mate. It is absolutely beyond. Say it again, common thread with this. Visually, just absolutely stunning. But there is substance there because you've got a great actor in Russell Crowe giving you them emotions. And I was a bit emotional in that first little bit. He's getting rid of his son and stuff like that. You've got Michael Shannon putting in a great performance as Zod. I've never been a massive fan of Amy McAdams as Lois Lane, just because I didn't think she got given enough to do really in these films. But I've got the exact same opinion as when it comes to Clark Kent, the character. We never saw Clark Kent in these films, in my opinion. Not a real take of him. You see a little bit of him in Batman v Superman, but I know Man of Steel wasn't going for that because it's obviously just him coming into his own a little bit. He's not at the Daily Planet or anything like that yet. But one thing I will give this movie massive credit for, which most people shoot this film down, is that third section. So like the third act when all the destruction's happening. I mean, we've had how many Superman films? 4, 5 at this point, and we've never seen a full-blown scale punch up the way it looked in Man of Steel. So I've got to give Zack Snyder credit for actually shooting these super fights really well. I loved it. Like the whole bit in Smallville where they're crashing through petrol stations and stuff like that. I love that scene. Love it. My one big problem with this film is the color grading. It is so bloody bleak. Like the saturation in this film is toned way down. And when it comes to Superman and his costume, his cape, his symbol, and all that, I want to see it like really pop. But yeah, Paul, what do you think about 2013 Man of Steel?
Listen, as much as I am an advocate for comic books and I've read comic books pretty much my entire life, for some whatever reason, I just never got on board with Superman, with the Christopher Reeves films, the TV series in the 90s, Smallville. I tried it all. I was like, what isn't clicking with me? And this character, I don't understand why I don't like these, same as I like sort of Batman 89 and, you know, just all these other films I grew up with. I was like, what is it about this character, Superman? And he is like the quintessential comic book character, but for some reason, he never clicked with me until Man of Steel. Man of Steel for me is my Superman. That as much as I've seen all the other ones, what I want out of the character of Superman, I got in Man of Steel. A bit more like Batman, not in terms of as dark as him, but that sort of gritty sort of. I don't know how to explain it or describe it. Just not in that, oh, I'm the American hero, Superman. I want a bit more depth to the character, and I think I got that with Man of Steel. To the point where after Man of Steel, I went and sourced Superman comics of sort of modern era, where the character is a lot more sort of, there's more depth to the character. It's not all that I'm the American hero, I'm going to save the day sort of thing. Yeah, for me, Man of Steel, when I think of Superman now, I instantly go to Christopher Reeves, and that'll piss off every Superman fan I ever talked to, probably from now till the day I die, because for whatever reason, Christopher Reeve is the number one. He is the plateau. That is the guy to beat.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, them films just did not click with me. It wasn't until Man of Steel came along where that I'm now a fan of Superman because of that film. Visually amazing. I love the origin that they give him. Just everything Zack Snyder gave me with that film and Superman, I took it as this is the Superman origin story. I think Henry Cavill was born to play that role. I thought he was fantastic in the role as Superman. I really liked him as that. Yeah. Amy Adams, Lois Lane, yeah, I give her. I'd take her or leave it. She doesn't really do much in the film. We don't really get much from her. Yeah, I think it's a great comic book movie. I think it's a great origin movie. I recently rewatched it a couple of weeks. I did all three. I did Man of Steel, BVS Ultimate, and the Zack Snyder's Justice League. Triple billed it over the weekend, and I still think it bangs. Man. I still think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't really have much negative. The only negative I can have for the movie, and I notice it every time I watch it, is that bit when he's taking down the fucking thing.
Oh yeah.
Goes on for a bit too long. Once he's fighting Zod, I'm like, yeah, here we go. But that scene when he's trying to take down the whatever they call them, I can't remember the names of the machines. That goes on a bit long. But apart from that, I think it's a solid movie.
Got to mention Hans Zimmer's score as well.
Oh
because,
yeah.
You know, like not only was it big shoes for Henry Cavill to fill, but it was big shoes for Hans Zimmer to come in and provide a new iconic score for a character that, you know, like you say, whenever you think of Superman or whenever people think of Superman, they think of Christopher Reeves. Whereas, like, when we think of Superman, we also think you all automatically think that. So the fact that Hans come in and just went absolutely nuts and made this awesome new score, hats off to you. I would be willing to put this one in A, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound to you? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right. Next movie, BVS. Now, my God, this is a controversial one. There's two versions down here, folks. The definitive, the ultimate, sorry, and the normal, but we'll just talk about the ultimate one because I think that is definitely the better one out of the two.
Yeah.
Provides a little bit more backstory at the start of the film, which I do like. And in that cut as well, we do get a bit of Clark Kent doing a bit of investigating in Gotham. Right, guys, I know this film's got its problems, but I do enjoy this film. I can't lie. It's got a number of problems. There isn't enough Superman in this film whatsoever, in my eyes. I think the biggest problem Zack Snyder ever did with the DCEU was not making a Man of Steel 2. When he got the reins, when he got the keys to the castle, he was like, "Oh, right, Dark Knight Returns. Can I make that?" No, Zack, just calm down, man. Just calm down.
I feel a bit of DC were trying to play catch up as with Marvel at the same time, though. I feel like, right, we need to get Batman in, we need to get this. I don't think it was also Zack, but they did jump the gun far too quick.
Way too quick. And they were absolutely betting. And I would have betted the same amount. Like, this is going to make $1 billion. Well, it's definitely going to make $1 billion. But it didn't. It topped out at like 700 or something insane like that.
Even the fact that it was divided by critics, that still blows my mind that it didn't make $1 billion, because I've seen worse films make $1 billion, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Ben Affleck, mate, as Batman. What did you think of Ben Affleck? Because personally, when that image dropped, right, where it's him stood next to the Batmobile and it's a black and white shot, holy shit, take my money.
Yeah. I wish I brought it up, actually. I wish I had it with me now to show that. But on my old Instagram, before I got into like movie reviewing and whatever I do on my Instagram, just my personal old one.
Yeah.
I put a picture on, and I'm pretty sure I said, "Fuck me, there's the money shot, take my money," or something, like that. I was like, holy shit. I was like, that is Batman, that right. That was one of the best sort of reveals I've ever.
Oh, mate, it was like this.
Hyped after that.
Shot up, didn't it? Because the thing is, folks, right? Like, in my eyes, Ben Affleck physically is the most we've had that looks like Bruce Wayne, legit in the comics. Do you know what I mean? Physically, Ben Affleck got absolutely massive for that film BVS. And I think Bruce Wayne should be absolutely humongous. You know what I mean? Like, he nails every guy in the room. So when there's that like shot of Ben Affleck pulling the tire, I'm like, go on, lad, this is fucking Bruce Wayne all day long. But yeah, he's awesome. Like, whatever you say about this film, and when the film did come out, I remember there was not one single review, no matter how bad they slated the film, had anything bad to say about Ben Affleck. Because when it was announced, everyone like almost fell off the chairs a little bit. What, Ben Affleck, Daredevil? What? But he absolutely nailed it. And
I actually don't mind him as Daredevil either.
No, neither do I. Neither do I. And I hope he turns up in Deadpool. But yeah, man. Mate, you know what about that? Just side tangent. That 03 Daredevil costume, mate. I fucking love it. I absolutely love it.
Good,
like the biker coat and stuff. It's great. We've just got Tarek in the chat saying, did two things that ruined the overall performance of the film, I believe, is the marketing. They showed the whole warehouse fight and destroyed the Wonder Woman intro by plastering it all over the trailers and TV. Couldn't agree with you more there, mate. Absolutely. That warehouse fight should have been saved because it's obviously the best fucking Batman scene we've almost ever had. Like, as far as fighting folks, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, that's him from the comics. And yeah, Wonder Woman, they could have probably kept that a little bit more inside or played it off as that she was playing someone else. So maybe have put her in the IMBD or whatever and do what they did with Barry Keoghan, where they put him as down as like detective whatever for the Batman when he was actually playing the Joker. It should have had that sort of situation maybe happen for Wonder Woman. But my biggest flaw with this film that's unredeemable in my eyes, Lex Luthor, mate. This Lex Luthor take is not for me. Now, I get what he was going for with the Mark Zuckerberg Facebook sort of young millionaire type, but mate, that ain't my Lex Luthor whatsoever. Like, mate, that whole like scene with him, like the red capes are coming, like that whole bit where, oh no, it ruins it. It really takes it out for me. Like, no, my biggest problem with this film ain't the Martha thing, because I actually think that's quite a clever idea, in fairness. I just think maybe how it's executed isn't the best.
Oh, Cavill's acting in there, it's crap, man.
Terrible, innit? Sometimes
Cavill's line, oh my days.
Not good. But the initial concept behind the idea of Bruce Wayne being like, oh shit, this isn't an alien. He's not a monster. He's a human. He's not human, but he's got a mother. He's like me. I can't kill him. Do you know what I mean? So there's good points and bad points to Batman v Superman. I just think the first film that we've ever had that have had in my eyes, the most popular superhero characters ever, to not make $1 billion,
crazy,
to come out to like 3 stars out of 5 and stuff. It was just a bit of a underwhelming experience when it came out. But I've rewatched this film quite a few times. Watched it more than Man of Steel, mate. I tell you that.
I think I have.
Yeah, I would honestly put this, and this might kill some folks. I'll put this in B, and I'd put this above 300. But that's just me personally. What are you saying, Paul, about Batman v Superman?
I mean, I think it's a better film than 300 as well, to be fair. Yeah, the hype level for this film, man, Jesus Christ, oh my God, I was riding that hype. I can still, if I could bottle, there's so many films that, you know, there's only a handful of films that have come out where the hype level, if I could bottle it and sell it, man, I'd make £1 million fucking pounds off it, man. And man, BVS was that. I was hyped.
Yeah.
I went to watch it 3 times at the cinema.
Oh wow!
Yeah. The biggest. I'm not going to harp on because I feel like you covered quite a bit there. The biggest problem this film had is it was trying to cover too many storylines in one movie. We were getting the Batman origin. We were getting the Batman versus Superman setup. We were getting the Dark Knight Returns sort of thing thrown in there. We were getting Doomsday thrown in there. They were trying to throw out 4 stories into one movie, which one movie should have one story and not 4 different pulls from comics, trying to tie it all together. That's its problem. That is detrimental. That is its one problem. It's too many cooks in the kitchen, and it's trying to do too many things in one movie. Once you're past that and you can just watch it because you know what it's doing, it doesn't feel like that You know, it's hit. You feel like it's hitting the beats. It's hitting. I feel it's too long. I think it's too long of a film. Even the ultimate cut, which adds more. I think it's too. There's a fair bit of lull in that movie that you can feel it when you're watching it. But as soon as it hits the, you know, you get back to the good scenes, you're back in it again. Yeah, I think I enjoy it, and I have to talk about "Beautiful Lie." That tune from the start by Junkie XL, hands down, that is one of my favorite pieces of music in a comic book movie. I have that on my playlist of like movie scores. It's always sort of playing when I'm doing work or whatnot.
The opening credits to this film's
I love it. I love it. Again, straight ripped out of the comic panels, man. Just incredible. Yeah, that's it. The biggest problem with this film for me, it always has been, there's too many stories in it, and it should have been something that was split over maybe 2 or 3 different films to really get to the BVS bit. But hey ho, we got what we got. I can sit and I can enjoy it. I'd probably go B as well.
You know what? I liked what he was doing in this film as well, Zack Snyder. He was thinking way, way, way far ahead. So with Thomas Wayne being played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he was thinking of Flashpoint, wasn't he? Definitely later on down the line.
I hate every time I watch it though. I hate that Flash bit doesn't amount to anything. I still don't know I still will never get the answer to that. Where that come from, it, and that pisses me off every time I rewatch it now as well, because like we've said earlier, he was trying to set up Injustice, and that's more prevalent in the, you know, the epilogue bit of his Justice League. That's what he's setting up.
Oh yeah, totally.
But that scene will forever be out of place now in that film because it doesn't lead to anything. But yeah, I'm happy with B.
Yeah, we'll go B. Tarek's just saying there about the extended cut. I feel is the best version.
It is the best version. It expands on it more, but I feel it's not them expansion scenes that is making the film longer. It's still the when there's not really much. I can't remember what scenes it is, but there's a few scenes in it that slows the film down.
There's a bit.
It's not the extended bits.
Yeah, there's a bit like with the extended cut, Henry Cavill goes to Gotham and he's like sort of investigating the Batman. I do love all that scene, sort of investigation scene, but we'll move on. We're on to Zack Snyder's third in his DC trilogy, which is Justice League, and we're just going for Zack Snyder's Justice League, not Joss Whedon's. Mate, I think this is an achievement. It's an accomplishment. I think it would have been suited maybe better coming to HBO Max, like as a sort of like a weekly thing.
Yeah.
But for a 4-hour film, it's coherent. It makes sense. I think all the updates from the prior Justice League movie, all are great updates. Everyone looks better. Steppenwolf looks better, in my opinion, and all that stuff. I just think with the real life problem Zack Snyder had behind closed doors, I think it was quite a beautiful thing to have the fans like come out and support him to the point where when they went and saw that Justice League film from Joss Whedon, they knew that wasn't it. Do you know what I mean? They knew that wasn't.
It's trash. It was awful.
It was fucking terrible, mate. Terrible. There's nothing redeemable about that. But I'm just glad that Warner Brothers aren't probably as glad that he came back to do that film, because I think it cost them an extra 70 million or something mental. Like I don't know what the final like budget of Justice League was, but it'll have been absolutely insane. Look, I love it. I think it's great. It's not one that I rewatch all the time because it's just so hard to get into because of how long it is. But he does sort of make a good effort of like splitting the sections up in a good way, where if you wanted to maybe come back to it and leave it, it's played out like that because it's split up into chapters, isn't it? So yeah, I haven't got much more to say on Justice League. It's not one of my favorites from Zack, just purely on a fact of it's not as rewatchable as some of his other films to me. But yeah, just you watched it quite recently, didn't you, Paul? So you've got some fresh thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was only the second might be the third time I've watched it since it's released. It is long, but the 4K does a great job of splitting it into 2 discs. And once that first disc ends, it feels like you could go away for a couple of hours, because it ends on quite a sort of, to be continued sort of scene. Yeah. And so I feel like you could go away and then watch maybe like the second part in the evening. That is what we did. We watched disc 1, went and did some bits, made food and that, and come back in the evening to watch disc 2, the second part. To go from what we had, that Josh, oh my days. I remember walking out of the cinema so pissed off with that film. I was like, what the hell was that? And I was hyped for it as well, because it's a fucking Justice League film. And it was garbage. I remember there's a scene in that, and I'll quickly say it, the bit where Batman, I think Superman hits Batman and he gets, I've done me back in or something like that, and he like hobbles off camera. I was like, the fucking is that? Like, fucking Batman doesn't say shit like that. Me back? What comic's that from? I was like, oh my days, what is this? Awful. This was such a good turnaround. It expanded the story. It felt like more of Zack Snyder's story. It felt like more of a Zack Snyder movie, obviously, because it made it. It just all blends well together. I liked all the expansion of the characters that we didn't get in the Whedon one with Cyborg, even Flash. I love that scene when Flash saves Iris West and that song's playing. That what song was it again? Where she like crashes the car and it all goes into slow motion. I just love all that scene.
With the hot dogs.
He puts the hot dog in his pocket. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's just an all-round better movie. That's crazy. I've never seen anything like that. I think that's the only time in the history of movies that I've seen where they've released a dud version and then released a complete different product, but it's the same. It's just crazy. Like, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah.
But again, it's basically Zack Snyder's hurrah for the DC, and he threw everything in the kitchen sink into that film. There was fucking Martian Manhunter popping up for a scene for no, just loads of things in it that just don't amalgamate to anything. And for that, that's a bit jarring as well. The epilogue's jarring as hell, because it's just a load of sort of, here's where we were going to go, but you'll never see that sort of thing. I'm tied with A or B. What have we got in A there?
Man of Steel.
Yeah, it's not as good as that.
No way.
I'll probably go with B.
Should we go top of B?
Yeah.
Put it at the top of B. Because it is an achievement at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Tarek's just saying, Paul, what's the ratio saying? Same as the one released initially.
Oh man, I do not like I'm not a fan of the ratio he did for it. That sort of 2 black bars, the IMAX ratio, which when I think of when I think of IMAX ratio, that to me is, it fills my entire TV screen, like what they did with Top Gun Maverick and other films he's done it with. His IMAX ratio was literally the IMAX ratio for a TV screen, where it's the height more than the width, and it just looks like you're watching something from like the 90s on your telly. I wish it. Go on.
I think he come out and said like, the reason I did it like that is because these are like godlike like beings that we're looking at them and we see them. And sort of like, no, Zack, it's not working, man. He never went back to it, did he?
That film would pop as well if it was full screen. If it was filled to 4K TV, it would have popped, man.
Because it's a nice 4K, but it's just them black bars, man. Do me in. Right, the next film is a bit of a disappointing one for me, unfortunately, Army of the Dead, because I was really looking forward to it prior.
Yeah.
Now, the general premise of this film is great. I like Batista. Like, God love Batista, man. Like, who'd have thought that out of all the wrestlers coming out of WWE, that it'd fucking Batista be the best one out of a lot of them, but he is, in my opinion. The problem I've got with this film, right, because I like all the zombie stuff in it. I like the ideas that he was having with the zombies, especially near the end, and they're quite like sentient. They know what they're sort of doing a little bit. I love all that. It's just, mate, the way he shot this film. So God love him, Zack Snyder, but he was really hyped up about these like eBay cameras that he'd bought, like with these lenses and stuff like that. And it was just like, oh my God, everything was so up close and personal. So there was never a lot of wide shots. It's got a great opening sequence, credits, but when does Zack Snyder not have a great opening credits scene? Lots of wide shots of Vegas and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a banger. And I've only seen this film once, folks, because it actually made me like nauseous when I was watching it a little bit. Like it's just everyone's face, but just like so close. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just being like a technical snob there. I imagine like if you just want like a good time with some zombies in it, watch Dawn of the Dead. But Army of the Dead, it's fine. It's fine. I can't believe it ended up getting a spin-off. To me, I would put this in D. Actually, I'm not a fan of this one at all. Paul, what are your thoughts on Army of the Dead?
Yeah, this was his sort of. This is his first. He did a deal with Netflix, didn't he?
Yeah,
this was his first film for them. I enjoyed it. I've said before, Dawn of the Dead. I love me zombie movies. I'm good with movies that changing my perception from I'm watching a high quality movie to I'm watching a popcorn movie. I can put myself into both the mindsets. The second I realize what type of film I'm getting fed, if that makes sense. And the second I realized this was just going to be it's quite a long film. It's like nearly 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
As soon as I realized it was going to be a 2-hour zombie Zack Snyder movie that's not as, it's very sort of now Zack Snyder. I had fun with it. I enjoyed the characters. Couldn't tell you the name of one, like another film we'll talk about shortly. Can't remember the name of any of the characters. I just remember the sort of plot, and it was just like a load of army people going around shooting zombies, and I was like, yeah, it was a cool zombie film. Again, like you, I've only watched it once. I've had no intention to go back and rewatch it. I don't know. I feel like I might actually go and check it out again, because I did enjoy it. I had fun with it. I didn't leave thinking that was a load of shit. I enjoyed it. I watched it, finished it. Like, yeah, it was cool.
I might go back and watch it myself. To be
fair. It was
a
cool 2-hour violent zombie movie, and I felt like it did what it said on the tin. I mean, I'd probably go C. I don't think it's a D film.
Yeah, you're right. I'm being too harsh there. It's just like, yeah, you're right. We'll put it in C. I definitely need to rewatch it again pretty soon.
I've just googled it. It's set like 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought it was.
Well, is that audience?
No, I think that's.
What's the difference between it? I wonder what you got critically for that one.
75 critic, 67 Rotten Tomatoes.
All right, so people don't mind it then.
Yeah, people enjoyed it.
All right, I'll put it in C. I'll shut the fuck up.
Rotten Tomatoes, same. Put it in C.
Yeah. Right, mate. Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2. Where are you at with these two? Have you seen Part 2 yet?
No, I didn't get around to watch it, so I'll leave part. I said to you, I watched your reviews. Like, I'm not even going to bother. I can't bother.
Yeah, no.
So you take it with part 2, but for part 1, I was excited for it. He was selling it to me. Star Wars R-rated. It looked like an R-rated Star Wars. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, so I was there day one. I like Zack Snyder. I like Star Wars. R-rated Star Wars. Let's go. If someone said to me now, have you seen that film Rebel Moon? Yeah, I have. What's it about?
Good question.
What? Sell that film to me. What's it about? Some girl gets done in, and her family, her friends get killed, and then she has to go on a mission to find other people to help take down this guy. Do you know what I mean? It's like I can't tell you any of the characters' names, any of the planets' names, any of the ships' names. Nothing. The law's there, but it's just unmemorable. Like, nothing sunk in for me with the film. And granted, I've only watched it once, so it's not all going to sink in on the first time at the name of everything in it. But even after it finished, I was like, I can't remember one character's name. Like, nothing was memorable in it. Had a cool few fight scenes in it, some cool creature design, some cool visually. It was appealing, but it was so forgetful. Like, the minute it finished, I think I gave it like 2.5 stars.
I gave it a generous 3. I've been way too generous.
I think I was going with 3, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, I generally don't think it was that great film. I can't remember anything about it. Yeah, it's so forgetful. It's such a shame because I was really excited for it.
Yeah, I was as well. And the thing that really, really bamboozles me about these two films and his whole Netflix deal is why on earth did he not just put out the director's cuts of these films and just make them R-rated? Like, we're on Netflix. We're not trying to appeal to like mass audiences and kids, trying to get them in theaters so we can sell tickets and stuff like that. It's just going on Netflix. Like, if there was ever an opportunity, Zach, just to put an R-rated film out that's your finished cut, surely this was it. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
maybe they've come to him and say, oh yeah, we need these PG-13 cuts, which is fair enough. Look, initially I was all up for this part 1 when it was coming out. I think I gave it 3 stars based on the fact of like, oh well, things will sort of improve in the second one. I hope. They really didn't. They got. I can't believe I enjoy the first one more than I do the second one, but believe it, people. Yeah, unfortunately, with this franchise, there's not a single character who I can remember the name of, like you were saying, Paul. And with that, it's what you just can't have just spectacle on the screen for spectacle's sake, because if there's no one to get behind or root for, then what's the fucking point? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, for me, Rebel Moon, like, I'd every single day of the week, I'd rather watch Sucker Punch. To me, these are his 2 worst films. I think this is like a little boy getting too much money and just like putting a storyline together, like when they're like 15. Or look at all this cool shit. Do you know what I mean? I really love Star Wars, but I want to make it a bit more bloody or whatever. Like loads and loads of cool concepts and ideas. Like the look of everything, like the ships and what they're wearing, the suits, the costumes, and all that. That's all great stuff. But it normally isn't Zack Snyder films. What normally isn't good in Zack Snyder films is the bloody script. Now, if he learns anything from these 2 movies, is that he needs to go and find a writing partner ASAP. And there's nothing wrong with that, Zach. Do you know what I mean? Just be the visual extraordinaire that you are. Put your talents towards a really good script. Do you know what I mean? So these are like, I'd give part 1 a D behind Sucker Punch, and I'd give part 2. If you want to find out my thoughts on part 2, folks, you can go and watch a review on the channel. I'd put that in E. Honestly, I'd put that in E.
I've not heard. The thing with part 1, I seen a lot of sort of mixed things on it. Like people, like, oh, was it crap? It was all right. I heard nothing good about part 2. Nothing from no one.
The first hour is just absolutely insulting. Like, absolutely insulting. Like, I go to work, right, and make farm food with grains and wheats and stuff like that. And, mate, this is a glorified advert, the first hour of this film. I'm not about it at all. So, Paul, I think that's our tier list. Don't worry about that little one at the end. That one, guys, that's just Batman v Superman, but the normal edition. I just left it off. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. I think I dare say we've got it spot on. I need to give Army of the Dead a rewatch, but yeah, mate.
I really want to rewatch. If I took anything from this, I really want to rewatch Watchmen again.
Yeah, I could watch that anytime. Yeah. I'm feeling Dawn of the Dead.
I agree with you completely with Zack Snyder. Visually, he's a great director. He needs a writer, or he just takes scripts and then make the movie. He's not a good writer at all.
I like him. I like Zack Snyder. I know he's a polarizing figure. I think he's upset a lot of people in Hollywood when it came to the Zack Snyder cut. Like, I think that just rubbed a lot of execs the wrong way. But I don't want him to stop making films, man.
No.
Maybe his Netflix isn't the right thing for him. Like, I was initially like, yeah, that's a good thing for him to be on. But if he's releasing PG-13 like versions of his films like on Netflix as well, like what the hell?
Yeah, the thing is with me with Netflix movie, as soon as I see that I'm like, this is gonna be shit. I
Puts you off,
count.
doesn't it? Like,
I can probably count on one hand how many excellent Netflix movies
Yeah.
there's been.
same.
Literally, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, this is gonna be shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Well, I know why, because most of them are. But
It's like
yeah,
that's
it's
why I
like
got
here.
Go on,
Yeah,
sorry, mate.
I was gonna say, it's like, oh god, here's another one of them fucking shit. Two out of 5 movies.
Yeah, it's why I've got like such a problem. Like David Fincher has just extended his deal with Netflix, and like David Fincher's like a Ridley Scott Quentin to me. Like for a director of that caliber to not be releasing films in the cinema and only on Netflix, like I could have went and watched The Killer at the cinema and maybe come out of that with a totally different perspective of how I've just watched it at home. Do you know what I mean? But who knows?
Yeah, it goes to show that money talks, I think.
Yeah, 100%. But anyway, Paul, that's it for us, mate. That has been episode 10. I've got a few videos on the channel, folks, if you want to check them out. I've just released a nearly 4-hour X-Men deep dive into the mainline X-Men movies, so be sure to check that one out. I'm joined by Big Dumb Movie Podcast on that one. He also edited the video for me, so thank you, Corey, if you're watching. But yeah, guys, this has been the live stream episode number 10. We will check you out not next week, but the week after. Oh, and before I go, I'll just let you know, guys, on Sunday, I'll be releasing a review for the new Zendaya film Challenges. I'll be going to watch that on Saturday. So, yeah, man.
I think I might try and check that out the weekend.
Mate, it's getting amazing
it really is,
reviews.
Yeah, it really is.
So I'm going to watch that on Saturday after work. Good night, Tarek. Have a good one, mate. Right, Paul, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.